This is Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. I'm your host, John Smithstad. I introduce you to a wide range of remarkably creative and inherently interesting people representing a broad spectrum spanning the world of entertainment. I invite you to listen, learn, laugh. Today's guest, this is going to be a really cool chat. He is award-winning director, writer, and actor, Addison Henderson. His new film, which he is pretty much completely in charge of, it's his baby, is called Givers of Death. It is a dystopian view of our world. I can say I've seen it. It is it's dark stuff, but it's stuff that will get to you. First of all, Addison, thank you so much for being on Conversations with Quick Flick Critic. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and talk to you today and all your viewers.
Cool. And we're excited to have you. We are going to talk about Givers of Death, your new film, obviously, and have you share some thoughts on that. I want to go into your background. You and I were talking before we started recording here. This is a pretty remarkable story that comprises the life thus far of Addison Henderson. We'll start, I guess, from the beginning. You grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Is this accurate?
Well, I lived part of my life in Newark. It was like a second home, but I grew up in the great city of Buffalo, New York.
Okay. Givers of Death was shot in Buffalo. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you grew up in Buffalo and you spent time in Newark, and you grew up on the streets. And I think it may be accurate, and you're going to tell us if it is or not, that these can sometimes be mean streets that you grew up in. Talk to us about growing up and coming of age in that environment in the inner city, and how it shaped you to become the man and the creative professional you are today.
Yeah, I can definitely get into that. Well, I did. I grew up on the east side of Buffalo, New York. I'll say there's a lot of tragedy, and we like to say Buffalo, where the snow blows heavy and the pain runs deep. And there's a lot more tragedy than 4 lost Super Bowls when it comes to some of the citizens in Buffalo. And unfortunately, I have witnessed some of the tragedy, and the tragedy has affected me personally. Losing a best friend who was murdered in 2001. But then also when I think about these things, I have to also think about the history of my life. When I think about my father, who is the preacher who passed away at the age of 85 a few years ago, but our church in Buffalo is part of the Underground Railroad. It's a national historic site, landmark, where people from all across the world came. And my father, who basically looked like an old Jewish man, people will come and ask him out, were you there when the enslaved people came? Were you there? Because he looked like Moses. And so, wow. so I had a really great dichotomy in my life. Yes, the streets and all that were around me. But I also had this history that was stamped into my life through my father's work, which allowed me to see both points of view. And so, growing up in the streets, and I'll give you a quick story. Growing up in the streets, my father saw that some of the influences that were there were not necessarily the greatest thing. And so what he did was, on my 12th year, before I would turn 13, he sent me to go basically live in the jungle for the summer. I was in Trinidad, and I stayed with a group of Indians there who were my friends of my father from his missionary work. And so I spent this summer in the jungle to learn about cultures and to do things that I wasn't doing in the city. And it changed my life forever. It made me part of who I am, and it made me try to understand other people and not just have knee-jerk reactions to what people do. I try to find a reason why people do what they do, and I guess that has affected me and everything I do as an artist.
Wow, that's it's interesting. It's also very impressive. That's particularly for a kid to go that far into where you went remarkable is not even an appropriate word to use, Addison. Um, that's really cool that was a part of your has been a part of your experience. You went on to college. You went on to attend Alfred State College on a football scholarship.
Yes.
You talk about that. What position did you play? And then also we'll pair that up with when you're in college at Alfred State. You maintained a passion for the creative arts. So you were involved in two completely different areas, really, football and the creative arts in college. Talk about that experience in your life.
Yeah, had a great coach, Mick Keba, who was the head coach over at Alfred State, brought me in. I played running back, and it was a great experience. But due to injuries and everything, my dreams of NFL and pro football were shuttered.
Oh, man.
but during that time, I was writing. And I was dreaming and I was thinking, I used to ask people, I was like, man, I think when I'm done here, I'm going to go off and really try to hone my creative skills and all that. And had a lot of doubters say, oh man, what are you doing? What are you thinking? I was like, oh, and I used to have visions of myself making movies and everything and everything like that. And so, I leave college, the injuries, my best friend is tragically lost. And then I said to myself, you know what? Life is short. We don't know what is around the corner, so I better live it all up. So I had $130 in my pocket, had a car that I bought for nothing. And then I had family that was borderline New York City, Newark, New Jersey, basically. So I went and I couch surfed in my family's houses and apartments while I was going to acting school in New York City at HB Studios, so acting and directing school. And so I said, you know what? I have to live my life to the fullest. And I said, there's no better time than now. I was young, and I was like, let's do it. Packed it up, listened to music along the way, got me through the drive. And next thing you know, I was in Newark, New Jersey, and I was in New York doing my thing. Yeah.
I almost don't even know what to ask next. Wow, that's you went for it, man.
Yeah, man.
Your friends told you were tripping. You said, well, I might be, but I got to do it. And it's working out pretty well for you, I would say, Addison. You worked along the way. You've come across some really special and remarkable people. You interned with Eric LaSalle's Humble Journey Films. People may know Eric LaSalle from a bunch of things, most notably ER on television with George Clooney and that group. And you expanded your creativity as an artist. What was that like working with the Humble Journey Films group? And tell us about working with Eric LaSalle as well, Addison. If you
yeah. I'm still in touch with Eric LaSalle today. He's a friend of the family. Just really got to know him and see his work ethic and the people that were working with him. And what I would do is I would go in and I would read a script and I would give script coverage on the script. And I would sit around with them as they talked about the coverage, but then also other employees would give coverage and they would talk about incoming projects or movies that were just released and things of that nature. And so I really got to see how a film company is ran from somebody that is very successful. And at that time, Eric LaSalle had signed a big deal did a big deal for ER and got paid a lot of money. And then he was like, all right, I'm gonna go off and do other things that I'm passionate about. And so Humble Journey Film was one of his things. And, he had a deal with a studio and I was able to go in there and learn. And it really helped me on the business side to understand what it takes to run a film company, what it takes to have continued success and longevity in this business.
Yeah, and it's really cool when people who quote unquote made it give back, understand that they were where other people were trying to make it once, and it matters to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be a partner in helping them be the best they can be. You made a documentary. It's an award-winning doc called The Forgotten City, which is described as the product of all the stories and images you absorbed while growing up in the inner city. What was the inspiration? Obviously, the inspiration was your background, but how did you decide? I'd like to document my experience in this project of mine, The Forgotten City.
growing up in a place like Buffalo, which a city that I love, during the winter months it gets really cold, and sometimes you're holding the house, and it's a strange thing to grow up in that cold. It can really get your creative juices going if you're willing to go there, right? Yeah. But growing up in inner city, you saw, especially in Buffalo during that time, there was a stark difference between the haves and the have-nots. And we really wanted to delve into that. What is the mind state behind everything that's going on? Why are people doing the things that they do? And me and my co-producer, Corey Green, we said, we have to talk about the story of our childhood, which Corey Green, his childhood friend was actually the killer of my best friend, the one that was murdered. And so we came together, and you talk about giving back. Not only did we want to make a movie, we wanted to show people that there's hope out there, that people that have differences can come together and to do something to inspire a city. And so we did that movie, and it ended up turning out really well. We had no budget. I cut together a trailer. And I came back home from LA, and I was working on this film. I was staying with my parents in this little room, and I had a computer, and I cut together a trailer. The next thing you know, the whole city of Buffalo was behind us. We raised about $60,000. We were able to finish our movie, go on and win some awards. But not only that, we really started a film movement in our city. And now Buffalo was a burgeoning, place on the East Coast where you can go and film. And so for us, that was a part of it, showing hope that people can come together. And I tell you, when we had events around the Forgotten City, there was no violence. There was nothing like that. People from different cultures, races, all came together to show love for what we have done, and to also, pay their respects to some filmmakers that really wanted to put Buffalo on the map.
Addison, it can happen. It's not Pollyanna, not utopia. It can happen, and you spoke to it and lived it and are living it right there. Something a little more fun in terms of the nature of it. The Pro Hollywood Boot Camp. Now this is tremendously interesting. It brought pro football players together to learn the trade, and it's actually very cool. Learn the trade of filmmaking and complete a short film in 48 hours. Wow! Talk about that experience, if you would, and talk about some of the guys, some of the pro football players who were involved.
Oh man, it was great. It was just awesome. Jeff Friday, it was his idea. He brought me on to basically help put the crews together, run the production of it, and basically these football players, because they're entertainment, right? And so the NFLPA, they wanted to put something together for these guys, like what can you do outside of football when it's all over? What are you going to do? And a lot of guys, as an athlete, as a rich athlete, they want to go to Hollywood, which is understandable. They want to make movies and tell their stories, because obviously sports, you look at the show Ballers and all the other, Any Given Sunday, I was working with players like Calais Campbell, Sean Alexander was there for 1 year. You know what I mean? All these great players, and a couple of them are still playing to this day. And they would come together, and I would, coach them and help them, learn the industry and also learn the language of a film set. How do you do this? And there were other great directors and mentors that would come on that would shepherd them through the creative process. And, it was a 48-hour boot camp, similar to the 48-hour film festival that goes on all across the country. But the thing is, though, these athletes are very focused, right? To get to the NFL, you have to be a focused individual. You have to be on your game. And so for those few days that they were with us at the Universal lot 1 year, I remember, and I can't remember the other lot we were on, but I know Universal, they came together and they worked hard, wrote scripts, and at the end they put together a movie, and it was quite impressive. That was quite impressive, and it opened up a lot of doors for these guys, because you come in, you have your agents and all that stuff already. So if you have this other skill, then they can take it and they can manifest it out into Hollywood, and that's what happened. And I'm proud to be a part of that, and proud to see some of these guys really doing their thing out there.
That is very cool. And you mentioned touchdown Sean Alexander.
Yes.
I live in Olympia, Washington. That's where I am right now, just south of Seattle. Big Seahawk fan. I saw him one season. I took my kids to go see 2 games. So he set the touchdown record, and he scored, I think, 7 touchdowns in those 2 games.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
he was a baller, man.
Man, he's total hero up here, and yeah, he's very cool. I'm not surprised. You talk about those guys being focused; they're rather competitive. You know,
exactly.
Anything they do, man, I'm in it to win. You know, I'm not messing around here, and that's cool that they were involved in that, and you were involved in with those guys in that project. We need to talk about this, and I'm just going to kind of give the floor to you, Addison, and let you just share your thoughts and feelings. You worked with gifted late actor Chadwick Boseman. You joined Boseman's team as an advisor and strength and conditioning coach with his team. Wow. Talk about Chadwick Boseman, just from your heart, if you would. I can't imagine what that experience is like for you, Addison. And just share your feelings and thoughts on certainly the creative, exceptionally creative soul that he was, but just this was a hell of a man too.
You know, more than anything, he was not only a best friend, but a brother. You know, we started working together because we were training, doing martial arts together and talking a lot of shop. My house at the time was the creative symposium for everybody, all my friends that were artists and everything. I would throw a party at my house every week. And, you know, Chad was one of the main people that was there. We lived right around the corner from each other, and we grew a really tight bond. And then he had, became Black Panther, and he said, Addison, you know, we've been training and working together, and you understand me as an artist, and, you know, why don't you come on and play this role on my team for a while and make some more connections and do your thing, and, you know, we'll support each other in our goals. And so we had a tremendous run together, and, you know, honestly speaking, it was the greatest time of my life up until this point, because, you know, we got to see so many things, experience so many great artistic feats on a really grand scale. And I got to see how the inner workings of a big studio really worked from an independent filmmaker's perspective, right? Yeah. But working with Chad and seeing the way he approached the art was something really special. For me, he was an angel sent to us. And, you know, we had a really tight-knit team of like really close team. And so, you know, when they say he was battling, you know, some of us that were close were there to support him through all of that, to make sure he can get the job done, because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to continue to work, to proliferate his art in the world as long as he could. And it was our job at that time to support him. And I always tell people this, you know, that when I was working with Chad, you know, it was one of those experiences, and I harken back to the words of my father. He used to say to me, son, in order to lead, you must first learn how to serve. And so when I was working with Chad, it was like, you know, I'm in service to this great artist, right? And I'm learning so much, but we have a back and forth, a give and take in our relationship, and we gave to each other. You know, when Chad was battling, you know, his sickness, and I was on the set of Givers of Death and everything, before he went to go shoot Five Bloods, he had just done some reshoots for 21 Bridges, and I know he was sick. You know, he came to Buffalo for days just to sit with me and to watch and to help as much as possible while I was filming Givers of Death. You know, and for a friend, a brother, to be battling that, to then come and to sit and to just be there, to be a good friend and be a support agent, was truly remarkable. And, you know, as somebody that was really connected to him, you wonder, you know, why sometimes life seems unfair. And I'll tell you, I was going through the Holland Tunnel when I saw the new trailer for Black Panther, and it shook me to tears, you know. And, you know, and I just thank the universe and whoever's watching, the grand creator, whoever it is, for you know, allowing you know, me to have such a journey on my own, but then to have those 7 years that we were together, you know, working together, be so remarkable. And I'm truly thankful to have been a part of such an amazing life during that time.
Well, that's echoed by people who knew him and worked with him and were his friends and obviously his family. We lost Chadwick Boseman at 43. Good gosh almighty, but clearly his spirit lives on in you, Addison. I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely. You know, I think that, you know, I was just telling Chad's producing partner the other day, and also one of my best friends ever, Logan Coles, I was saying, like, now everything that I do in terms of artistic wise, I think about Chad and the decisions I make and how he will make decisions and how he will go about doing things to get to what will seem like a right decision. And so I think about that now in everything that I do. And, you know, and his life lives within me and his family, you know, his wife, Logan, all of us. And he just put a light in us, man. And that's just what it is.
Wow. That's really moving and very, very special, obviously is the word that comes to mind. Thanks for sharing that, Addison.
Yeah.
Very much. We need to talk about your new film, your new project, and that is Givers of Death. The acronym is GOD. I've seen the film. It is definitely a dystopian vision that you have here of the world, based in Buffalo, as we talked about, shot in Buffalo. What was the inspiration for the film? Now, again, you are the writer, the director, and the star of the movie. This is your baby. Where did that idea come from for the movie, and how did it kind of trace us along the path of how it came to be, you know, a film that's now available for us to see as an audience?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I was going through a hard run in life at that time emotionally. I was going through a divorce. You know, my dad was sick. You know, Chad was sick, and I was in a mental wasteland.
Good gosh, man.
And so I was sitting, and I was like, well, I know I'm going to go off and do a movie. And I started thinking about what it would be. And I said, well, what if there was I remember I was sitting with Chad, and we were watching Jaws in the park. And then we went to go grab go to a local bar. And I said, man, I had this idea. And I said, what if there was a virus that came and it was wiping out people, and it was so bad that people called it basically a basic hitman to come and to end it for them. Yeah. And he was like, whoa, that's interesting. But how does this happen? How do you do that? And I said, I don't know. I still got to figure it out. And so while we were working on 21 Bridges, I started developing an idea even more. And I'd be sitting on set just writing and typing and bop, 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 bop. And next thing you know, by the end of the shoot, I had a script. Went for the holidays and said, all right, it's time for me to shoot. Time for me to shoot this movie, this seemingly dark movie, but this is a guy searching for some redemption, some hope to get back to his family, who was on the other side. And there was something called a wind phone. There was a tsunami in Japan, and on a hill on this guy's property, there was a phone booth. And I saw this on This American Life. I listened to this podcast, and I said, okay, this is so interesting, and it's what our character is going through. We need to add this into the movie to help with the science fiction aspect of it. And I said, all right, and I'm writing, and I'm getting all these great notes from people, great ideas are coming to my mind. And after the holiday, I go to Buffalo, and I say, all right, let's location scout. No money, no nothing at that time. And then next thing you know, a couple of Hollywood producers called me and said, Addison, hey, you making a movie? I said, yeah, I'm making a movie. How much money you need? I said, all of it. I need all the money to make this movie. I don't have any money yet, but we're going to make the movie come hella high water. Yeah. And so they read the script, got my first check within a few days. Then
wow.
And then Joe Wilson, who's the showrunner of Equalizer, who's a friend of my friend of mine. He said, "Hey, send me the script. I'm gonna send it to Lagra Lane, who is a part of an executive produced group. They won an Oscar for a documentary they did about, I forget the name of it, about the Russian doping scandal that's on Netflix now.
Yeah.
They read the script and they were like, "Oh, okay, we're all in. Let's give them the money." And next thing you know, I'm in production, film. We make the film, and they believed in my vision and what I was going to do with the money. And I take great pride in, even though we're not talking about like some huge budget movie, but I take great pride in people giving me this money to make the movie and be doing a great job. And so we went, and my team knew, and I told them, I said, "Listen, guys, for this period of time, this is our White House, right? This is our White House. We have the keys to the nuclear code. We have to control this country." And I said, "We have to do what's best for this project. So take pride every day in what we're doing. Even though we don't have like a ton of money, we're not, but we're going to do it to a high level." And by golly, the guys came together, the team came together, and we did something pretty cool. We won an award, Best Screenplay. I was nominated for a few different other awards at the American Black Film Festival, a prestigious festival. And so, we did something pretty good, man. And, we're happy. We're excited for it to be seen by the country, man.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough question to answer, Addison, and I understand that. But your performance was really first rate in the film. And you also wrote it and directed it. If you had to choose one, it might be hard, because you're a guy who's so creative that you want to just be involved in every aspect of the project. Would you want to create, be a writer and direct what's going on in the film, or act? What's your personal high there?
Okay, so I'll tell you a quick little story, real quick, just take 2 seconds. I was at dinner.
Floor's yours.
I was at dinner with the film commission. They came out here, the Buffalo Film Commission. They came out here. They're great friends of mine, and so we're at dinner, and they brought a Netflix executive to the dinner.
Wow. And
they said the guy at Netflix, he's like, "So Addison, like overall, where do you see yourself?" And I said, I said, "You really want the answer? You really want the answer now? I know when I say things, that I have a very high standard in where I see myself." I said, "I want to be like Clint Eastwood." I said, "I want to be Clint Eastwood." I said, "That's what I."
Why not, man?
That's where my dreams align. That. And so when you talk about what do I want to do, I want to do what he does. I want to direct and act in my movies continuously until I'm old, and that's where it is. And I can't really choose. If I had to choose to leave out one, it would probably be the writing. So it'd be like directing and acting in it, and and doing that. But I wrote my next film already, so I guess I'm going to be doing all of that.
As my dad would say, it's in you.
Yep.
Most of us don't have what you have, and you seem like a humble individual as well. But you have a gift that most of us just frankly don't have, and you're making the most of it all across the board, all across the spectrum. That's very cool. Where can people see? Now we're recording this interview in July. I think next month, Givers of Death becomes available to watch widely. Is it the normal platforms that they can go to and scope the movie out? Kind of give us an idea of where we can.
Yeah, so Givers of Death will be released in select theaters across the country on August 5th. Buffalo, Chicago, Detroit. We'll be doing something in LA too. Wow. So it'll be available August 5th, as well as on demand, Apple, Amazon, all those streaming sites where you can purchase a movie. It'll be there day and date. So we're excited to get it out, and we're going to have some great Q&As and events surrounding the film, so people can just see my face and get to know me a little bit. So when they see me again, they'll be like, "Oh, that's that guy from that other movie about the virus. Oh, we need to check him out." And so
what you want.
Yep, exactly. So we're excited that everybody's going to be able to catch this movie on August 5th and enjoy it and take something from it. A lot went into it, a lot of thought, a lot of things. So we're happy to get it out finally.
Cool. Folks, go to your favorite stream platform, search Givers of Death, GOD is the acronym, Addison Henderson, and you will be able to watch the film. And by the time this interview airs, it's available. If you haven't already seen it, check it out. Want to help promote another project you got coming up, and this is a web series. It's described as a mind-bending web series, Mind Shadows. The show invented from Henderson's years of watching The Twilight Zone. This is interesting. I want you to talk about that as your inspiration. We know that Jordan Peele tried a reboot of the Twilight Zone on network television. It didn't go. And there are probably a lot of reasons for that. You know specifically more than we do about what goes on behind the scenes. What is your series, Mind Shadows, and how is it kind of an homage to Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone?
Well, John, I'll tell you, Mind Shadows is something that came birthed through me, because obviously we all love the Twilight Zone, most of us, and I like telling interesting stories that are one-offs. So not to get stuck into a repetition type of a thing. And that's something that I birthed a while ago. But John, what I'm going to talk about really quick is something that is coming next, and that's in the spring. That is Blythe. It's a psychological thriller. And it's basically, I can't really tell you exactly what it's about. I got to keep it under wraps, but it's basically, it's made in the mold of Alfred Hitchcockian type of a thing.
There you go.
That's what we're shooting in the spring, and it's called Blythe. And I feel in my heart of hearts that this is going to be a massive, massive hit, and it's going to really explode across the country and hopefully the world. And so right now we're in the preparatory stages of getting that going for springtime, again in Buffalo, New York, because I shoot all my movies in Buffalo, because not only do I love my city, but I work with a lot of youth. I work with a lot of schools there to give people opportunities that may not have them.
Awesome.
So the name of that is Blythe. Mind Shadows will come along maybe a few years down the road, but this next feature film, Blythe, is going to be something magical. And it's birthed through my years of living in Buffalo and all my experiences that I've had, some supernatural, and I put it all into.
Okay. Well, cool. I'm glad you got that out, man. This wasn't in my notes and the bio. We definitely need to be promoting that. What's the title of the project again?
It's called Blythe.
How do you spell that?
Blythe.
Okay, got it, man. Mm-hmm. Blythe. Look for that, folks. Hopefully soon, coming from Addison Henderson and his creative juices and creative team. Boy, I tell you, I've really appreciated this conversation with you, Addison. You're a fascinating guy. Obviously, you've got a lot going on in your life, a lot going on creatively, but there's, Addison, I quote my dad a lot because he's awesome. But he would say, there's more going on with this guy, Addison Henderson, than making movies. And he would mean, my dad doesn't say much, maybe like your dad, but he would mean that as a compliment.
Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I mean it. Not that making movies aren't important, but you see other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that are quite frankly, for the human condition, more important. Again, the movie that will be out when this interview airs, live streams, is called Givers of Death. Again, GOD is the acronym. Addison Henderson, who we've been talking with here for the past several moments, is the writer, director, and is the star of the film. Again, Givers of Death is the film. You'll be able to find it on any live stream platform and watch the movie. Addison, thanks so much for being with us here on Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. It's been fun, and frankly, it's been an honor.
Oh man, thank you for having me. So important for us to talk and get the word out, and also just share our thoughts and a little bit of each of our backgrounds. I learned quotes from your dad, something that'll stick with me too. And so Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. So that'll do it for this episode of Conversations with the Quick Flick Critic. I am your host, John Smithstad. Before we go, I always have to thank Bruce Threlkeld, who plays all the music for my show. Just a master musician. Bruce, thanks for doing that for the show. You can find Bruce's work and his music on his YouTube page, which is The Gig Farmer. Go there and see what Bruce is doing music-wise. It's astounding. So until next time, I wish nothing but good things for all of you. And of course, listen, learn, laugh. Goodbye, everybody.